Hey y'all,
Hey, I'm Mikey,
and I'm Randie.
and we are the host of the Black Millennial Marriage podcast.
Hi. We've already done an episode about the first 5 episodes of the
Mhm.
cheat code, but now we are doing like an after show piece about the now that we finish it, we're going to talk about all of it.
Yeah, so we finally made it to
Briefly.
episode 10 of this roller coaster.
Yeah.
And now that we have a little bit more information, we're armed with a little bit more information, we're going to answer a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So first question is, where did we listen?
Mm-hmm.
So we listened at home, in a car, in a commute, and at my mother's.
Yes. We are really big on listening to podcasts while traveling. You have nothing else to do. But just let stuff come into your ears. And this was definitely an experience every time we did a ride listening to this podcast.
Yeah, the last episode, Drew cried halfway through.
So yeah,
we were like, all right, we we need another break. So
she needed another break.
Yeah, so that's where we listened.
Mm-hmm.
All right, second question is, what was your favorite song?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So because they have roots in the same places as me, it was really good to hear like Mobb Deep songs.
Okay.
Like popped up. I don't remember which one it was specifically, and I wish that I had written it down. I feel like it was Shook Ones, but it probably was something else. But the cut music in this show is definitely
it was
perfectly timed.
Yes, when you just needed a break,
Mm-hmm.
and then a song came, and it was like, okay.
Thank you.
Breathe.
The timing it couldn't have been better. But no, they definitely had very, very well placed
songs.
Yeah.
My favorite was My Love by Jill Scott. I love that song. Incredibly problematic. But
wait, really?
Yes. I love that song. I can't tell
you
how many times I played it.
But the moment that song got brought up in the episode was extremely toxic.
But it was like, but this is a perfect song.
Yeah, isn't that the one where Jill is like confronting the girl?
You got me. No, when she calls him, like, I heard you got married. You got married.
Oh, that one.
Yes. You remember the music video?
I
like, she's
do.
just like, wait.
I always confuse that with
pacing.
You terrible.
I love that song. So that was my favorite song. What song surprised you? Well, we had the same song.
We're on the same page with this one.
The gospel song at the end. I was like, oh, they really trying to fuck with everybody. Like, they was like, oh, so just when y'all thought that it couldn't get no crazier,
never would have made it.
It wasn't
never would have made it, but if they would have placed that at any point, it would have been genius.
It was. I was like, oh, okay.
It was like, yeah, they made it to the promised land. They good now. So.
It felt like it was saying, at least my interpretation of that placement and the fact that it was a gospel song was like, we about to throw all this shit you thought you knew, like about life and relationships and yourself in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And before we go, we still gonna fuck with you. That's what I took it as. I was like, oh, they bout it.
Gotcha. So you think our entire relationship with this podcast for the first 10 episodes they gave us has just been, we're gonna fuck with you, and this is how?
I mean, I guess for people who maybe had a reaction for how we did, because some people didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't hard for a lot of people, and so maybe. But I just thought it was really, especially if you have Christian roots.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing, though. We have family members with Christian roots who felt completely different about this podcast. Like, my mom is hyped to give y'all some feedback.
She's going to email y'all.
Y'all are going to enjoy that.
She loved it. She loved the whole thing. All right.
But yeah, no, that song was funny. At that point, we had already like been throwing our hands up. Like,
I was like,
so this is where we at right now. Like, but that was funny. It was a good one.
Shocked the hell out of me. What's something you heard Andrea or Jason say that you never heard said out loud? We also had the same thing for this one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've never heard shout out to side pieces from like side pieces.
I'll never forget it.
It was never. Even when I was a side piece, it wasn't like something to be proud of. Like, I was like, why she don't want me to be the number one? Until I realized and understood that being the number two was actually better. This was like high school, like middle school. This is a long time ago.
You too young to be a side piece, Mike.
I was, though.
Man, you had some problematic.
I definitely did.
We're going to have an episode about that.
But no, just the pride in your position, in the position that you play. I thought that was funny.
My mouth was just open. I was like, oh, they trying to fuck with us. Like, I just kept having.
What was it, episode 3 or 4 or something?
It was
one of those.
Yeah.
They had like people in the peanut gallery in the kitchen. Like,
yeah.
OD, like yes, side pieces.
No, that
was funny. That was funny.
It was funny, and it also was very surprising. And I had never heard anyone say that out loud.
And to be honest, for anyone who hasn't listened to it, to the podcast yet. There's a million more things that I never thought that I would hear that was also said, but the first thing that came to mind was just how it was said,
and also never said out loud. Because there were lots of things that were said, but we had to specify.
Yeah.
I mean, All right. Next question.
What you got?
What had you in your feelings?
You go first.
Okay. So for me, the whole show, I was never
cop out.
No, I have more. I have context, sir.
Oh, my bad. What's up?
And the fact that I couldn't experience the show as a wife and a woman, like I did not experience the show like that at all. I thought that when I first heard about it and when I realized what the show was going to be about, that I would have like these visceral reactions as a woman and as a spouse. But instead, I just experienced the whole show as a kid. And like I felt like I was a kid again, watching the same shit play out, with my dad and the adults in my life, and not having any control, and I don't know what this next episode gonna be, and it's just like I just didn't. That was really rough for me. I just never had there wasn't like a break except for when there was music. I was like, wait.
And that reminded you of childhood too?
The distraction? Present. No, it was like be present. Okay. I really, really wanted to have a very cool and fun reaction to the show. I wanted to be like how other people were. I wanted to laugh it up. I wanted to find it funny. I wanted to be likable. I wanted to be like, if they heard my reaction to it, they'd be like, I like her. I wanted to be, but you
don't think that might have been their reaction?
No. Which is, that's
fair.
I guess that's one of the downfalls or
drawbacks, downsides
to being yourself or to have a reaction. But anyway, I wanted to appear down, but I just didn't, and it was really hard for me to ingest. This was not an easy podcast for me to listen to, and I so wanted it to be. Like I really wanted it, but it was an experience. It was an experience. I have never in my life, and we real young, but heard anything like this in my life.
Well, I've heard mad shit. I've heard this. I've heard worse than this. But this is still wild.
Yeah. So yeah, but it definitely is. There's nothing like it.
I understand. You're not alone in that. I definitely I mirror those feelings. The perspective that I came from, I was looking at it like from like a man's perspective. And just who I am today. I think who I was forever ago would have been like, nah, I could see how this all happened and this all makes sense. And still today I'm able to be like, yeah, based off of who they were, and what they were dealing with at the time, it does make sense that is the the space that they were in, and that this is what happened. But what had me in my feelings ultimately was like the theme throughout this entire podcast of like delaying the inevitable.
Okay.
There was just a lot of like, damn, right there, that's a moment where things could have gone differently, or you could have like changed something, or like what it just they were living to like just have something for like at a moment. It's really hard to describe. It's really hard to describe, but just the constant holding it. It's like it was like something being held over my head, and that's what was messing with my anxiety. It's like, damn, like I know something like the next shoe's about to drop, something's about to happen. Just whatever the next thing is, I just wanted to be over with. Like it's where I was with it, and there was always the next thing. There's always the next thing, but it was great storytelling.
Yeah, impeccable
for that reason.
Impeccable.
But my nerves. I've been through shit. I'm not good. I'm not good with holding stuff over your head or waiting and having to pause. Like we've had this conversation. Like like when women say like we need to talk. Like I'm automatically on like I ain't do nothing, but I'm upset.
Yeah.
And now my stomach hurt. I gotta throw up or poop. But that was.
So your anxiety messed with your body.
It messed with my anxiety. It did. And every time we finally got to our destination, I had to go use the bathroom. It was good. It was good like that. What was the next one?
Okay, next question. What are the lessons? For me, the two lessons that stood out to me were fear is a bitch.
Yes, ma'am.
And self-awareness is power. So what they say a lot in the show, Jason and Andrea, is how they weren't aware of certain things and, aware of how trauma impacted them, aware of triggers, aware of like things that probably would have changed how the story like played out. And I realized that there is power in being intuitive and listening to yourself. And even if you can't really like understand it quite, you know, but just knowing that there's something off. And that was something that my mom instilled in me and us, because that wasn't something that she always listened to. And I never understood. It used to irritate me as a kid, but now as an adult, I realized that having that type of self-awareness, especially as it plays out in relationships, romantic and platonic, that it's powerful. And that fear is awful because, I mean, it just stifles so much. It stalled so much in the story.
And it makes you make decisions that you would not otherwise
if
make.
you were brave, or if you, and that's, I think that was something that definitely stood out to me as a lesson they were trying to teach, or that they learned.
Or just one that you picked from it.
Yeah. How about you?
Ultimately, the biggest lesson that I took from it was you determine your joy.
Okay.
Which, you know, it kind of, Vives talked about a little bit more throughout the series. Like ultimately, it's a journey to find happiness.
Okay.
And you are the one who determines whether or not you're happy.
Okay.
I think like Will or Jada said something similar to this on like a Red Table Talk. Like it's ultimately your decision on whether or not you want to be happy. Like I'm here to help you and assist you to get to that point or whatever. But as an individual, in a relationship, in a marriage or whatever, like it's on you at the end of the day. So they went through the storms they went through with their exes to ultimately get them to the point where they are with each other, which is honestly, from their perspective and how they've expressed it, is a joyful place. Like they are happy with each other, which is
the point, right?
Yeah.
It's find somebody
to be happy in
with.
your life. You damn sure don't want to be miserable with somebody forever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be miserable with you. I would like to be happy and joyful with you, which is like the point of signing up for this whole shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you determine that in whatever situation you're in, whether you're married, whether you're single, dating.
It's your responsibility.
Cheating.
Mikey.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so what are our questions? So
you
for
got
me,
questions?
yes, I have questions.
Okay.
So my questions are, why did you do this podcast? Was it cathartic? Did you learn something about yourself or about people? Sorry, in sharing this story.
You always hit me. It's okay.
I don't always hit you. I actually don't.
I just really wanted people to see you roll your eyes because it's really cute.
Mikey, your questions.
Got you. Oh, my question. Looking back, is there something that you would have done differently or sooner to have gotten to this point? Like, we listened to the story that was told over how many years?
A long time.
It was a long time.
From 2009 to 12, 13? I don't know.
Thinking it was longer than that now. Yeah, it's this took place over a lot of years.
High school.
But like looking back, because hindsight is always 20/20. At what point would you have done something differently if you could to like change the course of this story so that it wasn't so drawn out and painful for times where it was painful? Like, what would you have done differently if you could have done something differently? I guess would be my question. Yeah.
That's a good question. All right, and finally, what is the cheat code?
What is the cheat code? The cheat code to me, this podcast. Cheat code.
What is the cheat code?
Yo, this cheat code is the story of two people who, in a very messy way, it's not always clean, in a very messy way, found happiness, found joy. That's what I took from it.
Okay.
What about you? What's
this
the cheat
took
code?
me a long time to figure out, but I finally realized that the cheat code is a love story. I don't gotta agree with it. I'm not even agree with it, because I do think they belong together. I do think that they found a match, and that is like how the universe works, right? Despite all of our like individual messiness and all the things that we inflict on ourselves and may inflict on other people, like it still works to like find this balance of good. And I do think that it's good that they are together, because like you said, it's very clear that they love each other, they like each other, there's happiness there, and that's what all this is for.
I think that our initial reactions was like, damn, like this would have been real cool to like do with the first person, is what like the struggle was for the initial episodes.
That, and because it was just like I said, having listened to this as a kid, like that's where I really was like, I was just like, but this
the
don't
space
gotta,
that you were in.
This don't gotta be this way.
Yes.
It don't. But I do think it's a love story, and And yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like maybe not agree with it, but like maybe you don't think it had to be exactly like this, but like eventually it did manifest itself as a love story. And I think that that's the point, because it is a love story.
And we celebrate love. We believe in healthy love. That's the thing. That's the point.
That's the point.
That's crazy. Yeah, y'all go listen to this podcast, y'all. This shit is wild.
Thank y'all.
Thank you for watching, listening.
We hope you found this valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And
this was fun.
It was. The setup was crazy, but that's not y'all business. All right. Thank you.
Thank y'all.